Have you ever judged someone before you knew the truth? Have you ever watched a room full of people stay silent because they were too afraid to stand up to someone powerful? What happened one rainy evening at a small restaurant changed the lives of everyone who witnessed it. A woman feared by an entire town lost her power in a single moment. Not because someone fought her with anger, but because one young waitress chose kindness over fear. What happened next left every customer speechless and proved that even the richest people cannot hide from the truth forever. Stay with me until the very end, because this unforgettable story will remind you that kindness is never weakness. Sometimes it is the strongest force in the world. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Waves. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories that remind us all how powerful kindness can be. Now, let's begin. On the edge of a quiet town in Vermont stood a beautiful restaurant called Maple House. It wasn't the fanciest place in town, but people loved it because it felt like home. Families celebrated birthdays there. Couples had their first dates there. Elderly neighbors gathered every Friday evening for dinner. The owner, Mr. Collins, believed every guest deserved to feel welcome. But every Thursday night, the atmosphere changed. Around 7 o'clock, a black luxury car would pull into the parking lot. Everyone knew who had arrived before the driver even opened the door. Eleanor Brooks, the millionaire's wife, walked inside with perfect clothes, expensive jewelry, and an icy expression that made the room fall silent. The staff became nervous the moment they saw her. One mistake could lead to loud insults, complaints, or demands to speak to the owner. She criticized everything. The food was too cold. The tablecloth wasn't perfect. The music was too loud. Even when everything was exactly the way she requested, she still found something to complain about. Many waiters had quit because of her. One Monday morning, a new waitress started her first day. Her name was Lily Carter. She was 23 years old, had recently moved to town, and was working hard to support her younger brother through college after their parents passed away. She wasn't rich, but she carried something far more valuable. She believed everyone deserved kindness, even difficult people. The older employees warned her. "Just avoid Eleanor if you can," one server whispered. "Don't argue with her," another added. "No one ever wins." Lily simply smiled. Maybe she's carrying a pain no one else can see. The others exchanged puzzled looks. Thursday finally arrived. The restaurant filled with customers, laughter, and the smell of fresh bread. Then, exactly at 7, the familiar black car stopped outside. The room became quiet. Eleanor entered without looking at anyone. She sat at her favorite table near the window and immediately snapped her fingers. "You," she said, pointing toward Lily. "Come here." Lily walked over with a warm smile. "Good evening. My name is Lily. I'll be taking care of you tonight." Eleanor looked her up and down. "You seem new. Let's hope you're more competent than the others." Lily didn't react. "I'm happy to help. What would you like this evening?" After placing an unusually complicated order, Eleanor leaned back with crossed arms. "And don't make me wait." Lily nodded politely and hurried to the kitchen. Everything was prepared perfectly. The chef checked every detail twice before the meal left the kitchen. Lily carefully placed the food on the table. "I hope you enjoy your dinner." Eleanor took one bite, frowned dramatically, and pushed the plate away. "This is terrible." Customers nearby stopped eating. "The vegetables are overcooked. The steak isn't right. Are your chefs completely useless?" The chef looked devastated. Mr. Collins quickly approached. "I'm very sorry. We'll gladly prepare another meal." Eleanor stood up loudly enough for the entire restaurant to hear. "No, this place gets worse every year. Maybe people like you simply don't understand quality." Several customers lowered their eyes. No one spoke. Then something unexpected happened. Lily quietly bent down and noticed a small leather wallet lying beneath Eleanor's chair. She picked it up. "Excuse me, ma'am. I believe this belongs to you." Eleanor quickly grabbed it. For a brief second, fear flashed across her face. She opened the wallet. Everything was still inside. Cash, credit cards, a folded piece of paper. She looked surprised. "You didn't open it." Lily gently shook her head. "It wasn't mine." The restaurant became completely silent. One customer quietly whispered, "Most people wouldn't have returned that." Eleanor stared at Lily. For the first time, her confident mask seemed to crack. Before she could respond, an elderly man slowly stood from a nearby table. "I'd like to say something." Everyone turned toward him. "I've eaten here for 20 years. Every week I've watched these hardworking people do everything possible to make you happy. Every week you embarrass them. Tonight this young woman returned something that many people would have kept. She showed you respect, even after the way you treated her." Another customer stood. "So did I." Then another. Soon half the restaurant was standing. No one shouted. No one insulted Eleanor. Instead, they applauded Lily. The sound filled every corner of the restaurant. Lily's face turned bright red. She looked embarrassed. "I was only doing the right thing," she said softly. Then something happened that nobody expected. Eleanor slowly sat back down. Tears formed in her eyes. Real tears. "I don't deserve that kindness," she whispered. The applause faded. She looked around the room. "You all think I'm cruel." Nobody answered. She took a deep breath. "I suppose you're right." She looked at Lily. "My husband built a business worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Everyone thinks my life is perfect." She paused. "But money doesn't fix loneliness." The restaurant remained silent. "My son stopped speaking to me 5 years ago. My husband is always traveling. I spend most nights alone in a huge house that never feels like home. Somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be kind. I started believing that controlling people would somehow make me feel important." She lowered her head. "It never did." Lily gently placed a hand on the table. "It's never too late to change." Those simple words seemed to reach Eleanor more deeply than any criticism ever had. She looked around the restaurant. "I owe every one of you an apology." She turned toward the chef. "I'm sorry for every unfair complaint." She faced the servers. "I'm sorry for treating you like you mattered less than me." Finally, she looked at Mr. Collins. "I've been coming here for years, and you've always welcomed me despite how I've behaved." Mr. Collins smiled kindly. "Everyone deserves another chance." That night, Eleanor quietly finished her dinner without another complaint. Before leaving, she walked into the kitchen. She thanked every employee personally. The workers could hardly believe what they were hearing. Weeks passed. People noticed changes almost immediately. Every Thursday, Eleanor returned. But now she greeted everyone with a smile. She asked servers about their families. She complimented the chef. She even laughed with customers she had once ignored. Then one afternoon, she quietly paid for the meals of every firefighter eating lunch. The next week, she covered dinner for a young couple celebrating their anniversary. Soon people realized she had begun visiting the local food bank every weekend. She donated money, but more importantly, she volunteered her time. She packed boxes, served meals, listened to lonely people who simply needed someone to hear their stories. Lily never asked for credit. Whenever people praised her, she simply smiled. "I didn't change her," she would say. "She changed herself. I only gave her one moment of kindness." Months later, Eleanor invited Lily to her home. Instead of a cold mansion, Lily found fresh flowers, warm laughter, and something she never expected. Eleanor's son was there. After years apart, they had slowly rebuilt their relationship. "It started the night I met you," Eleanor told Lily. I realized I had spent years demanding respect instead of earning it. Lily smiled. Kindness has a way of opening doors that pride keeps locked. Years later, people in town still remembered that unforgettable Thursday evening. Not because someone powerful had been embarrassed. Not because a wealthy woman had lost an argument. They remembered it because one ordinary waitress refused to answer cruelty with cruelty. She answered it with honesty, compassion, and grace. That single decision created a ripple that reached far beyond one restaurant. It healed broken relationships. It restored hope. It reminded an entire community that every person carries unseen struggles. The next time someone speaks harshly to you, remember Lily. You never know what battle another person is fighting inside. Kindness doesn't mean accepting bad behavior, but it does mean refusing to let someone else's bitterness steal your own goodness. Sometimes the smallest act, a smile, a patient word, or returning a lost wallet, can completely change another person's life. The world doesn't need more people trying to prove they're stronger than everyone else. It needs more people brave enough to choose kindness when anger seems easier. Thank you for spending this time with us here on Kindness Waves. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who could use a reminder that kindness still changes lives. Leave a comment telling us about a moment when someone showed you unexpected kindness. And wherever life takes you today, remember this simple truth. Every act of kindness creates a wave that travels farther than you may ever know. Be the reason someone believes in goodness again. Until next time, keep spreading kindness one heart at a time.